Christmas? I will counter your download with my own download.
Okay.
You know what I want for Christmas?
What?
A fucking tambourine. Because as you're getting these downloads, I can just be over here doing my, my whatever in church with tambourine.
What downloads?
Whatever download you just got. Because you didn't know that beforehand. Did you? Did you have all that planned out? I mean, I know you had the 14 pages planned out, but did you have the God design last so that you can roll right into the?
No, I just thought about that.
Exactly. Thank you. I counter your download with my download. Tambourine for Christmas.
Tambourine. I want a new kitchen sink.
You're perfect, man.
Can we start?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what I feel like? I feel like I'm like you know what's going on, and I'm just like I don't know. Like I feel like I'm on a reality TV show when we do.
What do you mean? You know what's going on? We never know what we're doing.
No, but it's different because you have that like connection. I don't. Therefore, I just sort of got to ad lib and like
what connection? Like, what do you mean? Like, just be here, and then just like you have a conversation with me, you have a conversation with me.
Joanna, I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you that I want to dunk. I want to be able to do a 360 windmill dunk on the break, and you're telling me just focus on it and you can do it. No, I can't. I can't do all that. I can't do that. You can.
I don't know what you mean. Maybe
meaning you have the like. Okay, here's a good example. Oh, because you're saying your connection. You're naturally gifted at getting messages, bro. That's a natural gift that you have. So now it's even amplified further by like your own.
You think?
Awakening.
I just feel like everybody can.
No, everybody can, but I think yours is enhanced. You have more. You're 10 times more powerful than the average bear. I don't know. What the fuck? Like, that's a compliment.
Okay, can we start now?
So it's not. It's not about that. See, and that's a perfect. Yeah. See, you only proving my point.
How? Like they're watching this because I'm gonna put this up.
Why?
Because it's cool.
Well, I ain't got nothing to say now. Let's go.
That's why I was like, "You done?" Because I want to do
that's the way you stopped me. Oh, fuck it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it then. Is this reverse psychology?
No.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, come on. Don't play like you don't know.
I don't know. What we're talking about?
I don't know.
You have the ability to get messages at a higher rate than most individuals. And the fact that you like just sort of like brush it to the side.
I don't brush it.
Or the fact that you think that I should be able to do it on the same level as you. And clearly that's something that you have more talent in, like a natural gift. I can't just go get a natural gift. It's not the way it works.
Would you have your own natural gifts?
I do, but whenever you have the opportunity to tell me about my natural gift, I'm not going to go, well, you can have it too if you just meditated.
Welcome. That's the longest intro ever. Welcome to Real Talk.
As you can see.
With Casey and JoJo. What's up, Casey?
What's up, JoJo? I did not think, okay, let's do it. Cool.
You did not think what?
I didn't think that was going to be a part of this, but okay.
Hey.
Now I'm like thinking about all the things I said. I'm like, dude, I think I was good. I was good. I was just speaking to you in a manner of fact.
Hey, it's real talk. We were just talking real, right?
Talking.
Okay, we were talking. Today's episode 14, and we decided that we can kind of sum up this first season with a few things from page 14. So let's call this page 14.
Episode 14.
Episode 14.
See, I haven't used my time.
Look. And then December, which is 12, December 2nd, right? 12 plus 2, 14. So let's look at what?
No, nice. I like what you did there.
Okay, so
let's slow.
Yeah. So let's look at page 14 from maybe 3 of our favorite books, including mine, because and kind of talk about it. So I want to read page 14 from each one. You can read one, I can read one, you can read one, however we want to do this, and then talk about it for a little bit and kind of go from there. I think it's very important to be able to carry conversations wherever you go about anything, and that requires having an open mind and being able to receive information. When what My light always goes on when I'm in alignment,
You
right?
can do that too, if only you meditated.
I have magic. You could do it too. It's true though. But I guess I've practiced my whole life. So, but you can do it too.
Because you have the gift.
Okay, but so do you. Okay,
We all have it.
We
You
all
have it
have
more
it.
than I do.
We just
That's
have
it.
to just really focus on it. So we're going to talk about these three things and just kind of wing it. And really, we haven't prepped. We were just like, let's pick three of our books and let's go to page 14 and talk about
See
it,
what's
right?
up.
So the more that you can just come up with random things, the more you're able to flow in your life. Your energy begins to flow, and you're no longer, really just stuck in, I only talk about this. I only read about this. I only, look at things that have to do with this. It just opens up your perspective. It broadens your perspective. So
Yeah, well, and too,
let's do that.
the more habitual you are, the less you think about tasks that are performed on a daily basis, the more you're essentially robotic, in the sense that you're just repeating past experiences and limiting your future potential, because you're just in robot mode, right?
Mm-hmm. Where do you want to begin? With mine?
Yes.
Okay.
Spring Manifestations
I was like, don't mess it up.
by Joanna
Spring
Crowder.
Manifestation.
Jeez.
You want to read it or you want me to read it?
No, that's you.
All right. So here we go. Ready? Let's get comfortable. Page 14. So actually, let me see what the words were before that. Then my husband drove 2 hours and we switched again. I drove an hour and a half and switched. He proceeded to do the same, now every 45 minutes. We continued switching until I couldn't stand being on the road anymore. It was now 4 a.m. I was done. But my husband, he was going to get me there no matter what. Sorry, I can't see.
Impressive.
So he drove the rest of the way. Meanwhile, my mom had arrived in Phoenix, rented a car, and proceeded to drive up to Sedona. But it wasn't that simple. No, not in this story. She started driving and realized it was a one-way road. She had lost all signal. That's right. She was in the dark, driving for 3 hours with no connection and hardly able to see. I guess the struggle was real for all of us. And, we're going to talk about what that was in a minute. But we arrived at the resort in time for me to take a shower and change. They dropped me off at rehearsals, basically right on time. Moments later, they began going over everyone's names, and I had emailed them in Dallas, letting them know of our situation and how I might be arriving late to my graduation. So they were expecting me to arrive much later. As they called out my name, someone told the graduates how 6 flights got delayed and then canceled. So we had to drive all night from Dallas and that I would be arriving late. I then raised my hand and said, that's me. Next thing you know, they had me stand up while all the graduates clapped. They congratulated me for making it and for having such willpower and determination. They said that it was inspiring. And that's when I began to think all of this had to happen for a reason. I'm going to just continue with this paragraph because our trip didn't just end there. We woke up early to visit the state capital to Phoenix. We do this thing where we visit every state capital and take a picture to collect memories from all 50 states and see our kids' growth. This capital was the 23rd, and our goal is to be done by the time they graduate high school, or 18? After driving down to the capital, we began our journey to Denver, since that was where our returning flight was departing from. We were so close to the south rim of the Grand Canyon that we decided to stop and take a look. This wasn't in our plans, but being that we were so close, we all agreed to go. Our real plans consisted of stopping in Durango to get some much needed edibles. I mean, when in Rome, why not? This trip had been extremely emotional and stressful. All the driving had left our backs tighter than we could stand, and so the thought of decompressing became an obsession. an appointment that must not be missed. I Googled the time of the dispensary closing. It said 9 p.m. And that suddenly turned into what seemed like becoming contestants on the show, The Amazing Race. All right, let's talk about that. Whew.
That was fun.
Okay, so it started off with our trip to Dallas. Well, it was really to Phoenix, to Sedona, to go to my graduation. I was getting my master's in metaphysical science, and our flight got delayed a million times. What was it, like 6 times?
Well, we were supposed to arrive that night, and we ended up arriving the following. It got pushed to the next day, right? Because we stayed in a hotel that was provided by the airlines.
Yeah, we were supposed to get there the night before.
Right.
To Denver, and then we were going to drive down to Sedona because we were going to meet my mom in Denver.
Right, with your mom,
yeah.
Perfectly planned.
But then shit happened.
Went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Real quick.
It was basically like this obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, and that whole chapter is about how determination, it's called determination, and how we were so determined, like, you know, like I started reading, we were driving every 3 hours, every 2 hours we would switch, every 1 hour we would switch, every 45 minutes we'd switch, until I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, but you know, understand the buildup, right? Like we got to the airport that morning, I think at 5 a.m. because the flight was supposed to be at 6:30 or something like that. And the 6:30 got canceled. Then it moved to 8:30. The 8:30 got canceled. So essentially it's like, okay, we're good. We still have time. Well, when that last flight got canceled and they're like, well, it could be tonight or it could be tomorrow morning. We're like, at this point, we're losing control.
Panic mode.
How can we get back in control of the situation? And the only answer was rent a car and drive all night from Dallas to Sedona. And then her mom to fly from Denver to Phoenix and then drive from Phoenix to Sedona. And so that's
I think she had to end up going all the way to Colorado Springs.
Yeah, she drove to Colorado Springs. That's right, to help us with the amount of time it would take to get
and
there.
That was the only flight that they had to Phoenix. And then in Phoenix, she was driving, you know, at night with one road, not knowing where to go, etc.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Sedona at night, it's dark.
It's super dark.
Dark.
So that was intense. The whole thing, I broke down, I don't know how many times. We were like, what's plan B, C, D, E, F, G? I was crying. You guys were like, it's okay. I was losing hope. And I realized, okay, you know, everybody was there for me. They made it happen. We all had this deep down determination. I got there on time. And, you know, this whole event happened out of that was like a really good memory of, you know, this is a representation of what it took to get to that point, as far as on a bigger scale, you know, getting my degree. And that was just represented in our whole trip there and back. And then, of course, you know, we decided to go to the Grand Canyon. And
when she says take a look, that's probably an exaggeration of the amount of time that was spent at the Grand Canyon.
Here are the right words that I used.
If you've ever seen National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one, where they leave the Grand Canyon and the guy and Chevy Chase basically steals money out of the cash register and drops his check in, his kids and his wife and kids are overlooking the Grand Canyon. He's like, all right, looks pretty nice. It's just,
let's go. Yeah. So I said, taking a look meant just that. They wanted to take pictures and walk around. I mean, it's only one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Meanwhile, here I am yelling, TikTok, it's just a huge ditch. We'll come back another time. You know, when you have somewhere to go and you can't find the keys, or worse, you get all the red lights. That's what it felt like. So yeah, it's
just
in and out.
A huge ditch.
Yep.
Oh my God.
No disrespect.
But then the fun began. It was amazing. If you've ever driven through southern Utah, northern Nevada, it's 2-lane roads of nothingness.
Yes, nothing. Rocks.
And I had my phone up to this particular location that closed at 9, and when we left, it was 9:15, 9:20. She was pissed, and I'm like, I got you. We'd already driven from Dallas to to Sedona. I got this. What's the big fucking deal? We can make it from the Grand Canyon to Durango, Colorado by 9. And so here we go, screaming through the Grand Canyon and the desert at like 115 miles per hour in a rental car for probably 2 to 3 hours, because again, it's nothingness.
Yeah, my mom's over there. She's probably
Dude, it was
watching
so
now
much fun.
going, oh, I remember that. I didn't say anything. You were going really fast.
And the time kept ticking up, ticking up, ticking up.
Yeah.
And I remember we stopped at a bathroom and it said like 8:48 was our arrival time. And I'm like, pee and get your ass back in this car, right? Because every minute like literally cost us a minute. So anyway, long story short, and we had to drive through fog, like this dense ass fog, just watching the minutes go by. But we made it.
Yeah,
I think we got there like 8:50.
It felt like a race. It felt like we had, something to look forward to while we were driving through nothing. I mean, pretty cool to drive through nothing, but
yeah,
it's very different than, when you're in a city. So that was just one of the so many stories that are in my book, Spring Manifestation, and you can check it out. It's on Amazon. What else? Yeah, there's so many stories within that same chapter. But let's go deeper into this and talk about Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. You want to read this part? Page 14?
No, it's you.
No, baby, that's you.
Okay.
I'll read the next one.
All right.
I can't even see, so I don't know what
The whole
number that is.
That's a lot of words, man.
Page 14. Mm-hmm.
All right. So this book is basically, it's called Becoming Supernatural. So it's basically talking about how you can essentially you can heal yourself, control, your mind and body to kind of become one kind of a thing. So it's a story about this lady named Anna, and it's basically just going over kind of her story, if you will. So this is a snippet of her story. And I don't think I'm going to read all of this because it's a lot. But next year, she attended several more events. By keeping connected to work, Anna started to develop relationships with more people in our community, and she received more and more support to keep her going on her journey back to health. Like many of our students, she sometimes found it challenging not to take a few steps back into the old programs and the old patterns of thinking, feeling, and acting once she returned home after a workshop. But even so, she kept doing her meditations every day. In September 2013, Anna's doctors gave her a very thorough medical checkup and included many different tests. 1 year and 9 months after her cancer diagnosis and 6 years after her husband's suicide, Anna's cancer had completely healed and the tumor in her esophagus had vanished. Her blood test showed no cancer markers. The mucous membranes in her esophagus, vagina, and anus were completely healed. Only a few minor problems remained. The mucous membranes in her mouth were still slightly red, although she had no longer had any ulcerations. And because of the medication she had taken for the ulcerations, she still didn't produce saliva. So that's not the whole page, but we'll kind of stop there because I think that's enough information to kind of understand what's going on.
And then she realized that if she was able to heal herself from all of that, she was able to produce saliva. So she started focusing on that and she started getting saliva. So basically she was happy, she was fine. Then her husband committed suicide. She started getting really sick. She didn't process her emotions or her mind. Like she was just losing it. And she just got worse and worse and worse. So she got a hold of Joe Dispenza's workshop. She started meditating. She started focusing on healing. It took a while, just like it took a while to get to where she got to, but she eventually realized that she had the power within her. We all have the power within us to heal. And, it starts going into the process of how we heal ourselves and how we can physically and scientifically heal ourselves through epigenetics. They found so much information about our environment and how that helps. So do you want to talk about what you've been learning from that book?
Yeah, so like I've been reading this book we've been reading this book actually for the past a couple of weeks. We do, roughly a chapter every day or two, kind of a you go, I go thing. But for me, like Joanna's been preaching meditation to me for years, right? And I've practiced it and I've done it, and I understand chakras and I understand, the power of the mind and all these things. Read a bunch of books on that stuff, but for, it hasn't sort of all clicked for me. And this book kind of helped it click, because he speaks from a place of sort of science and his doctor side, and sort of merges the two worlds of metaphysics and chakras and all those things, with body structure and physiology and how your body is set up. And it's like the dude just speaks my language, right? And so, like, last night, we did a Reiki session on in the QE Academy. And I've sort of grown in practices with my own personal meditation journey in terms of setting intentions, and so that's kind of given me some improvement. But in this book, he goes through specific exercises that you can do to basically aid in raising the cerebral spinal fluid, back to your brain. And so I tried that last night during this Reiki session, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I felt some things that I had never felt before. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think I got reach the pinnacle of what the goal is. But it was definitely some new sensations, which basically showed me that, all this time I haven't been meditating incorrectly, but there's, maybe I wasn't ready. I don't know. But that just showed me that doing the exercises that the dude prescribed, I was able to do some things differently and actually accomplish something in terms of raising that charism. And kind of how it all ties back into the initial story is that, when you do these things, and he explains this in the book, is that, you create a heart coherence, right, with your magnetic energy, right, which is the heart. And then your mind is the electrical, right? So you've got an electromagnetic field. Well, when your heart doesn't function the way it should, you've got a diminished magnetic field and an over excited electric field. So you're out of balance. So for me, I understanding, he explains all this, and I'm like, okay, this shit makes sense, blah, blah, blah. You've got to get through your first three chakras to get to your heart. That's fear and all these negative emotions. So anyway, it just all made sense. And when you get to the point in the book where he explains all this, you can reach a point where you're reprogramming your mind, which reprograms your emotions, which reprograms your body and your genetic upgrades and downloads and all these things, which essentially means that you can really cure yourself of just about anything, right?
Wow. So
Wow.
wow.
That made you say wow?
Yeah, that was like a lot of information for those that maybe, don't know what you're talking about. It was probably a lot of information. We normally talk about this all the time, every day. Especially in the QE Academy, we're teaching people about what, all of this about the chakras. Our company's based off of that. We have, 7 individuals, all each based on a chakra, et cetera, which is just, the energy center, the conscious field around the gland, that the 7 major glands that are in our body, and how this works with our emotions and our thoughts. So great book. Again, Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. So we had Spring Manifestation, we had by Joanna Crowder, Ph.D. I like saying it like that. It's my own name. It's kind of hard to say. And then The God Design by Kelly Marie Kerr. Amazing book for those that are interested in the more how spirituality, theology, religion, and everything relates to the physical body and our physiology and everything. So page 14, here we go. Randomness. Okay, so actually that's a great segue. Crazy how 14 and then this. Look at that, how it starts off with chakras. Huh. All right, let's start. So
all unplanned, by the way.
The physical body, 7 energy centers or chakras of the spiritual subtle body, and 7 planetary influences, all of which are a reflection or correspondence to one another. And that's not even a full sentence. Let me say the full sentence. I'm sorry. The 7 candles related to several different things. For example, 7 major glands of the physical body, 7 energy centers or chakras of the spiritual subtle body, and the 7 planetary influences, all of which are a reflection or correspondence to one another.
And then flip it back. So, and what verse is that? Because when she's talking about the seven candles,
the menorah, she's talking about the menorah.
Okay.
It's Exodus 25:39-40. The menorah and its utensils are to be made of 66 pounds of pure gold. See that you make make them according to the design being shown you on the mountain. So she's all about breaking down all the layers of all of this. So she goes on to say, simply stated, the macrocosm, microcosm means big universe, little universe. Among others, Plato recognized the clear parallels that can be drawn between the universe and the human organism. God created these wonderful layers of creation to miraculously complement and connect with one another, and then told Moses to make an ornament, the menorah, that signified this divine process, God's divine energy flowing through the 7 prominent planets and into the 7 energy centers or chakras of the body. Speaking of the ancients, they believed in a quite literal way that nothing inside us is without a correspondence in nature. Worms, for example, are the shape of intestines, and worms process matter as intestines do. The lungs that enable us to move freely through space with a bird-like freedom are the same shape as bird wings. The visible world is humanity turned inside out. To the teachers of the mystery schools, it was significant that if you looked down onto the internal organs of the body from the skies, their disposition reflected the solar system, or that which is above. So it goes on to talk about the layers, layer 1 being the God divine energy, which created all things and is in all things. Layer 2 being what is above the planets, the energetic influences or luminaries, 7 of which are prominent. And then layer 3 is the physical human. God created us to have an outward experience of life that could be a lesson and testament to others, helping to evolve the collective consciousness. And layer 4, the spiritual human. God created a reflection of the first 3 layers within us, including a spiritual energy center, the chakras, and nerve plexuses correlating with each planet, and the seed, which travels through the spinal cord or internal river Jordan, mirroring the physical life of Christ.
You said I had a lot of information?
Yeah, then it goes on to basically what anoints us and that sacred secretion you were talking about of raising. Thou anoints my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Oh, here's a summary. Would you like to hear the summary? Yes. Okay. Might as well. To summarize, the spiritual composite of the sacred secretion is the uniquely aspected divine energy that incorporates a cocktail of stellar and planetary influences that are specific to each of us individually during a particular time of the month. If the divine energy can flow freely through our chakras in an environment of love, peace, and surrender without being wasted, it will rise to the thalamus, so that's up here, and enlightenment will occur. These points, their relevance, and how to calculate the timings of the sacred secretion will be referred to and explained in more depth throughout this book.
Sounds a lot like somebody's bringing you gifts, like claws. You said what?
Babe, don't tell everybody. So what we're doing is really going into depth about all of that actually in one of our workshops. So I don't want to talk about it really. I think that if anyone is interested in finding out about any of this, they should, I'll put a link on the description so that they can join us in the workshop. It's going to be the hidden meanings of Christmas. And it's going to have all the layers. That's why I was like, oh, that's cool. It shows the layers because it's going to have the layer of the Bible story, the macrocosm, the microcosm, and the story of Santa Claus, and how it's basically layered and interwoven with the same story of as above, so below. So that is pretty cool. I love the fact that Kelly Marie Kerr simplifies something that is so
complex,
very complex, deep, very deep, very
emotional,
intertwined, very everything. And she breaks it down in something that is very digestible So again, that is the God design, secrets of the mind, body, and
Yeah, let's
soul.
talk a little bit about what you read. We don't have to talk about the raising of the chrism, but we can talk about it in a general
Yeah,
sense,
of course. Let's do that.
right? And so I've always been confused, and we've I think we've said this before, but I've always been confused at the traditional way of that a Christian or one goes about being saved, right? I accept Lord as my Lord and Savior, blah blah blah. I'm done. I'm saved. I'm good to go. Like for me, is it that simple, right? And when I started learning about this process, and the last paragraph that she read, there's a certain, based on your astrological sign, the day and the time of the day that you were born, on the month and the year, whatever, creates a snapshot, right? And that snapshot is basically you as influenced by the planets. And please jump in if I mess up. So when that happens, it's a snapshot. At that point in time, you essentially have a 3-day period where you essentially go within. Your goal is to raise this cerebral spinal fluid, and in order to do that, you have to understand, you have to practice, you have to meditate, you have to be conscious of your feelings, of your emotions, of healing.
You have to unblock your whatever blockages are not allowing this energy to rise.
Right. Which again, I mean, I don't know what level I'm on if it's a 1 to 10 scale, maybe I'm like a 2, but I know how hard I've worked to get from 1 to 2, and comparing it to raising my hand in church and just going, I'm good. Like maybe that's where the battle starts, but like this is just a different process. And for me, being a science sort of person, geek, whatever, like you start talking about the physiology and the science and the chakras and the way it all intertwines. It's like you can't, I haven't been able to found a whole, I have unanswered questions, but like we've talked about this. You ask someone a question like, what happens to people in Africa that don't know nothing about Jesus? Where do they go, preacher? And the answer is, I don't know, or to hell. And you're like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like all this makes sense. And it's so fucking cool to how it just all intertwines. But not to get too much detail, but I wanted to at least talk a little bit about the God design in terms of what you just read. You have anything to add? You want to save it all for the seminar, for the
The
event,
workshop?
The
I know.
workshop?
I'm like, what can I say, not say? I think you guys should definitely, if you're curious as to how all these layers intertwine, you should definitely sign up for that. But
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, if this information is all new to you, if you're interested in knowing more about sort of the
healing process.
awakening healing process, learning more about maybe the deeper layers of our body's physiology and how God designed us perfectly, and the choices ours every day, every moment to follow in his path, and the physiological process that happens as a result of that, and how essentially, just like a video game, you're leveling up.
Yep.
Right. You're knocking through chakras and you're balancing chakras and releasing, negative emotions until you essentially get to the pinnacle where
magic happens and you are enlightened.
And I would say too, I mean, my experience yesterday when we were in Reiki sort of, I guess, reinvigorated me, because I think, and that maybe you can
shout out Michelle.
To this. Yeah, maybe you can relate to this. I think there's a point where you feel like you kind of grind on self-improvement, but maybe you feel like you don't, you're not reaping the benefits. I mean, you're a better person. You know that you're making better decisions. But there's a point where it's like, come on, man, like help me help you.
Yeah. Right? And I think some of that is like that. We all experience it when we're a little bit disconnected from like normally, like now I'm not gonna say normally, but when we're connected, we see the synchronicities, right? We see the numbers, we feel the magic, right? In so many different ways. And so we know we're in alignment, we know we're on the right path, we know we're going somewhere. And then sometimes it's kind of like in stocks, you're going up, and then it just kind of sits there.
Yeah, you just hit a plateau.
And you're just like, hello, are we still connected? Are you,
right.
Am I on the right path? Like what's going on? And I think a lot of that is just, you're reaping the benefits, but then there's times to learn, and observe and be present. And then there's the times when the stocks go down, right? And that's when you really have some deep lessons that you have to overcome. And you have things that you really need to hit rock bottom before wanting to come back up because you're not going to learn the lesson. So it's kind of like you reap the reward, you come over here, you observe, you kind of do your thing,
And I think
you fall down.
yeah, and you take what you've learned when you fall down
And
too.
then when you fall down, you come back up here, you observe it, right? You're in the now, you're in the present, you reap the rewards. It's like our circadian rhythm. And so everything is in cycles, just like everything else. And that doesn't mean quit. It doesn't mean like, oh, I don't see anything, so I'm going to stop. No, it just means continue on the path and just know that the flow is going to kick in, the cycle is going to kick in, where it's going to either go up or it's going to go down. And if you're in this like middle place, well, then just observe.
Yeah, and I know in my story, my own personal, like, God story, you sort of take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and maybe, they call it backsliding or whatever. And sometimes maybe you're angry at God, or maybe you feel like there's no God or whatever. But it's like, to your point, I mean, when you start seeing the synchronicities of things, and you start really, opening your mind and mind and body up and spirit up to everything that you've been taught in more of a religious circle, and just opening up to the possibilities of unlimitedness, and you start mirroring that with QE, quantum entanglement, is because of physics, right? Science and the physics of things. You really start to see at a higher level and be able to absorb the possibilities of, okay, maybe there's something to this, right?
Right.
And maybe there's something to these symptoms and these chakras and the planets and the horoscope. I say horoscope. What is
Astrology.
that? Astrology.
It's
Thank you. Maybe there's something to the astrology. And again, I don't
I
know.
wonder where that programming comes from. Like, why do you always say horoscope?
Because I remember as a kid, like, I would always read the horoscope every day because I was just infatuated with it. I never really understood it, but that's just what I did. So I always have it tied back to horoscope.
So
because
do
that's
you
how it would be listed.
understand what a horoscope is? No, seriously, let's just talk. Like, do you understand what a horoscope is?
Yeah, you told me this before.
In relation to astrology?
Yes, you told me this before. Don't ask me to say it.
No, but you'd have to understand it though, so that you wouldn't like mess it up.
No, but it's
or is it just really ingrained?
It's a pathway. It's an immediate pathway that I relate.
Right. Well, I'm trying to stop.
Astrology.
I'm trying to stop the pathway right now and get you to and go and like. So what is it? Horoscope in comparison to. So okay, your horoscope. He's like, don't ask me. Your horoscope. It's like based on the planet, based on where the planets are on that day, based on your sign and based on where everything else is, the transits, it influences your sign it influences your sign a certain way. And so that's all it's telling you. It's telling you how it's influencing you based on what planet is doing what. Like if Mercury is doing this, then hey, there's going to be communication problems. So it's just about understanding astrology. So like when we understand astrology, which is the study of light, which is everything, and then it's broken down into 12, then you can just go into Horus, the hour, the day, like where's Horus, where is the horoscope, where is the sun, and what is it doing with the other people, not people, planets, what is it doing that day, and then it's giving you a horoscope.
Right.
I'm like, exactly. I just want to make sure you got that.
I understand. Yeah, I understand the difference between a horoscope and astronomy. I mean astrology. but I don't know.
Okay. I was just curious.
It's like left and right, man. Like until somebody showed me that left is left. Like if you do an L, that's left. If you do that, that's not left. That's a backwards L. That's
no,
right.
But I think from now on, I think you need to go ahead and let everybody know that you will always have right and left brain correct now from now on, because you've been asking the difference.
I don't know.
Like a cycle, like for years now.
The correlation that helps me do it is I'm left, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm left.
I'm always right.
Yeah, you're always right. There you go. That's a t-shirt.
I don't know. I think you just need to say that it's gonna not happen, and then you'll be more conscious of it.
Yes.
Go ahead, say it.
Astrology.
No, I mean about left and right also. How you're gonna get that right.
I'm gonna get the left brain, right, right?
Right.
Never again will I get it wrong. I feel like I'm being scolded.
No, it's
Gonna write on the board.
affirmations. It's affirmations. You're putting it out into the universe, and then you're putting it out there so that you become conscious of it. Next time you'll be like, oh shit, I said that, so let me not ask.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to look stupid.
No, I mean, whatever. I just think that's cool. All right, so recap. We had
Join us.
The God Design, Kelly Marie Kerr. We had Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And we had Spring Manifestation by Joanna Crowder, Ph.D. That's the only time I can say it. So if you are interested in any of those books, I will put the descriptions below of where you can find them. If you're interested in healing and leveling up and getting support and how to process this awakening, getting more information, how to raise the chrism, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah,
join us.
Before we sign off, let's quick summary, and I know you'll jump in if I screw up. Spring Manifestation. So if you're kind of new to learning about astrology, then that's kind of a book to help you kind of get into the flow, like help you understand how
it's a good
it works.
Starting point.
Yeah, with the time of day and how the everything lines up. So that one is kind of a beginner, maybe astrology book. If you're like me and you're kind of into meditation, you're open to all this shit we've been talking about, but you're kind of a prove it sciencey guy, this book is awesome because again, it takes science and marries it with the metaphysics, and in a beautiful way describes physiologically how this process works. And then lastly, if you're a Bible person, right? So if you're all about translating the Bible, if you're all about sort of interpretation of the Bible, that's your book.
Metaphysically and in layers, this is your girl.
Yes. So I hope that helps too. Kind of, if you're going to pick one of those books, kind of choose based on that criteria and what most interests or resonates with you. And then, let us know what you think.
It's weird. All right. Are we done?
Good talk, Russ.
Good talk. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next time in our season 2.
Damn.
Coming up. So thank you for joining. Peace.
Peace.